Everybody wants to make money passively. The problem is that making money through passive income is definitely easier said than done. But if you're somebody who's looking for a relatively easy way to start a passive income through a passive side hustle, then this video is for you. Because in this video, I'm going to be talking about a really cool side hustle that you can start today. It requires very little upfront investment, and it's one that virtually anybody can do. The best part is it's also pretty passive. So let's get started. Side hustles are a great way to grow your wealth and make some extra money in your spare time. But you know what's better than a side hustle? A passive side hustle. This means a side hustle that doesn't necessarily require you to trade your time for money. For example, driving for Uber is an excellent side hustle, but it isn't passive because you have to be physically and actively driving in order to earn money through this hustle. But on the other hand, an example of a passive side hustle would be something like Airbnb, because you don't necessarily have to be actively working in order to make money through an Airbnb hustle. Starting a passive side hustle like Airbnb, Turo, Outdoorsy, or just general car sharing, this is a really great way to make a lot of money through a side gig. But the problem is that with these types of side gigs, you oftentimes have to have money in order to get started. For example, to get started with Turo, you have to have a car. To get started with Airbnb, you have to have access to a property. To get started with Outdoorsy, you have to have some sort of camping or recreational vehicle. And the reality is this is something, and these are luxuries that not everybody has access to. So this can oftentimes be discouraged for people that may not have a bunch of money at their disposal, but they still want to get involved into a passive side hustle. But before we dig into exactly what I want to talk about today and which side hustle we're going to be exploring, if you guys could do me a huge favor and if you could hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm and also hit the notification bell. This helps my channel grow because it helps that YouTube know that you guys are enjoying my content, and thus YouTube pushes my content out to a new audience. So if you could do that, I would greatly appreciate it. So like I stated just a few moments ago, the desire and the need for a low barrier to entry side hustle, meaning a side hustle that is relatively easy to start. This is something that many people are looking for, but because the information isn't readily available online, they may not know where exactly to start. But that brings us to the website I want to talk about today, which is called friendswitha.com. Friendswitha.com is a peer-to-peer sharing website that basically allows for you to rent anything you own to your peers. And I think that this is a really cool and really unique way to rent out your belongings to your peers in order to make extra money. When searching through friendswitha.com, there are people renting things like lawnmowers for $25 a day, electric skateboards like one wheels or boosted boards for $30 per day, bikes, generators, power washers, and so much more. There truly is a wide variety of products that are offered on this website, and all of them are being rented out by your peers. Now, the way with friendswitha.com works is very similar to how many other peer-to-peer car sharing sites work out there. Very similar to the concept of Airbnb, Turo, or Outdoorsy. You go onto the website and then you'll have the option to list your item, and then from there you create a listing just like you would on these other platforms, and then you'll have access to renting out these items to your peers. The platform is free to use, so it's free to list your item for rent, but friendswitha.com does take a 10% cut. They also charge insurance separately as well. Now, I do a lot of research on peer-to-peer sharing platforms online for this YouTube channel, and whenever you look at platforms like Turo, Outdoorsy, or Airbnb, the platforms are very refined, they're very professional, but that's because these companies are some of the biggest players in the peer-to-peer sharing game. And whenever you start looking at smaller platforms, oftentimes the website is very amateur, it doesn't really function very well, and there's a lot of missing pieces that simply aren't included in the site. But friendswitha.com was actually quite impressive, especially considering the fact that I wouldn't consider this to be a mainstream platform. The site offered a ton of resources. For example, this handy calculator that allows for you to calculate your earnings. For example, if you had a scooter that you were renting out for $25 a day, you can see how much you would roughly earn and pay off of any rental. There's also a really cool but admittedly kind of gimmicky tool that allows you to see what you would need to rent in order to make $1,000 per day with this side hustle. And you can do things like skateboard, mowers, jackets, camera gear, and it allows for you to see how much you could expect to earn with these different items. I do think this is a bit of a gimmick and it's a way to convince you to join the platform, but I do think it's cool nonetheless. Now, where I see a huge value in a platform like friendswitha.com isn't in the idea of using this platform to accumulate a fleet of lawnmowers or a fleet of power washers or a fleet of boosted boards. Where I see the value is renting out things that you already own and that you may not use as often as you thought you would, or simply those items that you only need once in a blue moon. For example, there are a lot of electric skateboards listed on this website, so I think maybe at one point in time they were like pushing the idea of renting out a skateboard. I'm not exactly sure why there are so many boosted boards and so many one wheels listed on this platform, but you could go the route of listing boosted boards or skateboards or electric skateboards, or you could alternatively go the route of renting things like lawnmowers, power tools, power washers, a generator, those items that you own and there's value in owning them, but you certainly don't use them on a very consistent basis. For example, a power washer. A power washer is a really handy thing to own, and everything needs to be power washed. But does everything need to be power washed on a weekly or monthly basis? Probably not. You probably power wash once every few months, maybe once a year, and then you don't use it the rest of the time. But there are other people out there that may not want to spend $100 to $200, sometimes even more on a good power washer. Instead, they just simply want to rent one. That way they can power wash their belongings and then return it. Another example could be a generator. A generator isn't something people use every day, but whenever they need it, they really need it. And there's a sense of emergency behind why somebody would need one. So being able to provide one on platforms like friendswithit.com is a real value add, and that value add could make you some money. Of course, there are tons of examples out there, from heavy duty equipment, things like saws, drills, impact wrenches. You could do other things like lawnmowers or lawn supplies, or you could do niche equipment like camera gear, drones, things like that. The opportunities are truly limitless. Now, at the end of the day, do I think that this is a side hustle that's going to make you rich? Probably not. Do I recommend going out and buying a fleet of lawnmowers? Probably not. But do I think that this is a side hustle where you can use the items that you already own and you can use them in order to make $1,000 a month? And I think that you absolutely could. Of course, the amount of money that you make will depend on a number of different factors, including where you live, how often your items are available, what they're priced at, as well as what items you're offering. I would also encourage you to look at kind of niche products or niche items that people may want if they're visiting your area. For example, if you live in Colorado, maybe renting out snowboard equipment or skiing equipment or sledding equipment. If you live near the beach, renting out surfboards or longboards. There is a ton of opportunity out there, and I think whenever you're going into like these niche locations, renting out things to tourists could be incredibly lucrative. Like almost all of the side hustles that I talk about on this channel, I don't think that this one is the end-all be-all solution to growing your wealth. Like I mentioned a few moments ago, you're not going to be rich by renting out a lawnmower. But what I do think that this could be is a really great stepping stone that can allow for you to enter another more lucrative side hustle. If you can make an extra $500 per month on friendswithit.com, then you can use the money that you're making on this platform in order to buy a Turo car. Then you can buy another, and then another. Then you can expand into Airbnb. You use a really basic, low barrier to entry side hustle like this one as a stepping stone to go into other opportunities that will help you grow your wealth more efficiently. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any other suggestions of things that you could potentially rent on this platform, let me know, because I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear other opportunities and other creative things that you could rent in order to make money. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, make sure to leave a comment down below, because I'd love to hear it. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.